For this session of Return 90, I want us to begin it with just like a really intentional reflection. Return 90 is anchored on the story of the woman caught in the act according to her accusers, and the accusers already knew her judgment. But when the accusers faced their own shadows, they walked away and left her there. And they left her with the most desirable witness you would wish to have, where the witness did not tell her that she was innocent. He simply told her, "I do not condemn you either." Those who accused her walked away, but their accusations are at different levels. There are internal accusations, there are external accusations. Neither do I condemn you. The story, as it's written, it ends there, but I believe her story started there. Because she was caught in the act, but she has to return to the same home, to the same community, to live among the same people who accused her. And she was going to need a much deeper level of return to walk the journey with grace, with humility, with persistence, because her real struggle started at that moment when Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you." This is the work that other people could do for her. They accused her, they witnessed her, then now she has to start the journey. I wonder how she walked home that day and how she started reconciling with the fact that her worst mistake, which she was accused of, did not define all over her life. She knows that she is not condemned. She's not condemned, but now it is the challenge of her no longer condemning herself either. Neither do I condemn you. The question that remains unasked is, the other people who came to accuse you have left. Neither do I condemn you. Do you absolve you? Do you condemn you, or do you absolve you? So I want us to just go into reflection. The Return 90 is anchored on two pieces, the 6 needs and the 6 layers. I just want us to think through just the layers. Environment, behavior, capabilities. And capability is different from capacity. Capacity is everything together. Beliefs, identity, and then at the core is the core self. Let's really pay attention to the 4 layers. Environment, leave the environment, leave the core self. Identity, beliefs, capabilities, and behavior. What are some of the new learning? What are the insights that have arisen for you as a person when it comes to identity? Just allow yourself to see what comes, and the goal is just write what comes without judging it, without weighing it, without wondering whether it's profound enough. When it comes to you in your journey during Return 90 and the other affiliated programs on the question of identity, what has arisen for you? And what has arisen might be insights, it might be realizations, or it might just be questions. The anchoring statement for identity is, your worth was never in question. Your worth was never in question, because Sometimes we get caught up in identities that are designed to be the counterfeit form of the core self, such that at some point during our childhood, where most of these things happen, someone or something happened that made you feel that showing up as you are is not acceptable. So you had to package yourself into a series of small identities that could be digestible. This is a very delicate layer, but see what comes up for you when it comes to identity. When it comes to who you are, who you see yourself as being, who you perceive yourself as being, when it comes to the question of your worth, what realizations or insights or questions or areas of self-reflection have arisen for you? The second layer among those four, which is the third layer from inside, is core self-identity. The next one is beliefs. And beliefs are of two types. Beliefs can be permissions or limits. A belief can permit you or a belief can limit you. That's a very simplistic way of subdividing them. When it comes to beliefs, what insights have arisen for you? Has there been any new learning? Is there any question that has become more prominent for you in the area of beliefs? If you went to the mirror today, in this moment, you could look at yourself in the mirror and asked, what is my single most empowering belief? And what is my single most limiting belief? What is this belief that is essentially like a superpower for you? But also, what is this belief that is your Achilles heel? Those two questions are meant to point to one central question. And this is, I feel like I'm still excavating in this area. And the question is, what is my single most powerful belief? What is the single most powerful belief in my life? You're searching for a global belief. There is a global belief that is more powerful than any other belief in your life, and it is the color that follows you everywhere. But in addition to that, as you reflect, I want you to think, when it comes to my worth, in fact, write that as a statement and then complete it in maybe a couple of ways. Just see what comes up. When it comes to my worth, I believe, and then see what comes. And try and complete that statement in at least 5 different ways. When it comes to my worth, I believe, then do not leave it empty. Just see what comes. The challenge here is the mental clutter wants to stand in the way and find logical statements that come out. The logical mind right now is judging your handwriting. It's like, that's not how we write G. Catch it and see whether you can stay centered. We are doing something very delicate, but something very powerful. When it comes to my worth, I believe here is another way to go around your brain or your mind. Is another way to express the same thing. When it comes to my worth, I know. I know. When it comes to my worth, I know. When I first did that exercise in 2026, the truth was, and that was what I know. I know. I said I know with conviction, but the what came out is I know that I don't believe in myself. And it's that point, at that point that I came face to face with one of the most powerful controlling beliefs in my life. In this season right now, I'm beginning to share a lot of my story, but when someone comes across my story the first time, they think I'm so caught up with, oh, this is what I've done. I just know that there are things I've done in my life because I did not believe in myself. So I needed to get an impressive certificate, or get a degree, get a different course, go to that country. All these things were not done from expression of my worth. They were done in the quest to prove my worth. When I was in medical school in my 4th year, I failed one exam. When I had an external examiner who decided I needed to redo surgery rotation. And that remained one of the most painful things in my life because he stood in the way of the only pathway I ever knew to prove my worth. If I am impressive, if I'm academically unstoppable and it's the only way that I express myself, and then you come and cut that branch, what remains? And the shame that I struggled with, I look back and I'm like, that was not my shame. That was the shame of the character, Mogire, the academically gifted. And yet I had reduced my identity to that one statement. So I don't know what comes up for you. When it comes to my worth, I know what comes up for you. I want you to think of a 3-year-old or even a 2-year-old. When I say these 3 statements, hear them in the mind of a 2 or 3-year-old. And the statement relates to self, people, and the world. 2-year-old, I am worthy of love, people are good, and the world is safe. That's on the positive side. What's on the other side? I am unworthy of love. People are unpredictable or selfish or controlling, and the world is unsafe. Those are 2 extremes. Each of us ends up living our life somewhere in between, where the most painful form of self-worth is self-worth that is packaged to meet external expectations. Except as a 2-year-old, you don't have the choice, you have to do it. But now, as a woman enough or man enough, you can intentionally redefine what your worth means. It's a paradox that once I redefined my worth, my achievements lost the impressiveness they used to have, but my achievements also became so much more meaningful because now they became tools that I can pick and drop. I can pick it and drop. I'm no longer fused with it. I can pick it, I can use it, and I can let it go. Such that other people can no longer control me because of my gifts or my lack of certain gifts. If you took me to a party to dance, you just want some people to leave earlier from that party. But I'm not ashamed. I am going to show up there, just my style, dance to one side, and then turn to the other side. That's because I am never going to be able to do, to juggle those legs like that. Nope. Yep. I just need to like that. That's it. But there's an area where if you take me there, now that other dance, I can do that dance. So how dare I allow anyone to put me down because I cannot dance that way, and that becomes a definition of me, and yet I can choose to enjoy this, explore this, and this is none of these things is me. They're just an expression of me. The next layer is capabilities. One of the most quoted Bible verses is, I can do anything through, even before I completed, your brain has already, you can hear it. I can do anything. I can do anything. It doesn't say anything, it says everything. It says everything. I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. I can write, I can treat patients, and I can dance. Now, the question is, will I dance the way I treat patients? Because if I did that, patients will die. Will I? One of the most organized people I've ever come across is Gladys. Yes. That's it. That's it. That's it. And thank you for that reaction. So here is the paradox about capabilities. It doesn't matter what you are capable of doing. By the time you come to capabilities, you are already wearing the spectacles of identity and the goggles of beliefs. So it doesn't matter what your capabilities are. That's why you have mathematicians who are matatu touts in Nairobi. Literally mathematicians. He goes into a matatu that has 60 people. He takes money. He remembers 40 people's change. And then he's like, academics? I can't remember the formula of hydrogen peroxide. But he will remember people's, because the capability layer is the interface between what you do and who you are. And what you do is the least impactful layer of element of who you are. What you do is, because what you do is now the physical interface with the rest of the world. But by the time you come there, if you're walking through layers of paint, you've already been fully coated by your identity and your beliefs. By the time you come to your capabilities, it doesn't matter. You can be intelligent. Do you know any beautiful people, like really handsome or beautiful people, who are so shrunken, they don't see their own beauty or their own handsomeness. Do you know any very well-spoken people who are extremely shy? Do you know any decisive people who will start, like, you can see that this person should be able to make this decision right now? Do you know any gifted people in any particular area who avoid going into that area? You look at this person and you know this person should be able to go into business and do it well. The reason is the layers that matter the most in terms of shaping what is going to happen at the level of capabilities and behavior is identity and beliefs. Once I say that I know that I don't trust myself, I know that I don't trust myself, everything that I'm going to do is about compensating. And I will tell you that's how I lived most of my life. I lived my life for compensation. Trying to compensate, trying to buy my worth. My worth was never in question, but my identity, my beliefs had already set me on a pathway to try to compensate. So for you, when it comes to your capabilities, the question is flipped. Which capabilities have you over-indexed? Which capabilities have you over-relied on? In fact, if you were to draw a circle, you will realize that there is a percentage, maybe 20-30% of your capabilities, which are literally most of the time, this is where you are living. And a lot of what remains are blind spots. In Al-Kara, the accountability piece is about making the commitment that I will not lead myself by myself, because you cannot discover your blind spots by yourself. If there are blind spots and you discover them, they were not blind spots, they were things you were just overlooking. If it's blind spots, you cannot. That's why, so for example, Gladys, I mentioned that I believe that you are the most organized because from how I have interacted with you, right? This is why there are attributes of our lives other people see that we don't. I got braces a couple of weeks ago, and every single time I eat, even at work, I'll eat and immediately go brush my teeth. I know for sure if I went and ate spinach and then I went straight to see a patient, I can have 14 pieces of spinach and no one around me will tell me anything. Right? And that is what happens. You have spinach all over you. You have spinach of creativity, spinach of unique ideas, spinach of leadership, right? You are not aware. Here you are like, leadership and me, this is just the way I am. But other people can see it all over you. But they don't tell you. They don't tell you. When is the last time you told somebody that they had skuma wiki on their teeth, to be honest? Or imagine like one of your colleagues. It's going to take a lot of closeness for you to even consider doing it. Are there any capabilities you have over-indexed? On the flip side, and this will not be a question that you can answer for yourself. The first step is to have the question, what are my blind spots? What are my blind spots when it comes to my attributes, when it comes to my capabilities, when it comes to what I am here to offer? What are my blind spots? Might it be that my professional growth, my career growth, my influence, social influence, whatever sphere you look at it, might it be that there is one or two blind spots that are probably standing in the way. And the most tragic blind spot is a blind spot of a strength, where you have a strength, but it's a blind spot to you. But of course, the most derailing is when it's a weakness and it's a blind spot. Are there any capabilities you've over-indexed? What are your blind spots? In the course of Return 90, when it comes to the area of behavior, which is the fifth layer, one of the four, but the fifth layer, when it comes to the area of behavior, this is the distillation point of all these three: identity, beliefs, and capabilities. They all point down. This is the question of orientation. What is your orientation when it comes to behavior? Is your behavior oriented towards expression of your unique gifts? Is it an expression, or is it an attempt to prove? Is it light shining out, or is it performance trying to justify, to prove, to indicate inner worth? Are my behaviors pointed out to impact the world, or are my behaviors pointed at trying to convince the world to recognize my value? They brought her to the courtyard at the temple and stood her up and said she's the one who was caught. And when they encountered their own darkness, they had to leave. Then she remains there with Jesus, and Jesus tells her, "Where are they who are condemning you?" And they have all left. There is no one condemning her, and he says, "Neither do I condemn you." And then she has to walk back. What can she do to buy the world's favor to her side? What can she do? What can she do to convince those men that were accusing her that now she's innocent? We are doing Return together, and we are exploring methodically but deeply the layers, because there's nothing more exhausting than trying to use behavior to reform the inner layers. It's like trying to paint the windows of a building to change the foundation. It's like pruning the branches to impact the leaves, or to impact the roots. You have this big tree. The tree has been here for 40 years, 30 years, 40, 50, 60 years, even 10 years. What can you do to the leaves and the branches that would change the roots? What if you what if you really shook the branches? Like you really shook the branches. What will it do to the roots? The roots maintain their character. If anything, the roots become deeper. Just the way they are, they just become deeper. When you go through Al-Kara, the deeper the level of awareness arises from, awareness arising at the level of identity changes all the other layers that follow. Identity will automatically change beliefs. Identity changes, capability must change. Identity changes, behavior must follow. This is an opportunity for us to just truly reflect. And I am going through this with you and looking at some of what came up for me. This reflection has two parts. We can only do the first part here. And looking at some of what came up for me, and I don't know what has come up for you. I would like to get your commitment that this week, you will spend no less than 5 minutes, even if you just did 1 minute per layer. Leave out the core self, leave out the environment. Even if you just did 1 minute, as long as during that 1 minute, you are writing, you're not thinking, you are using all your sensations, and write about identity the entire minute. And then you move on to beliefs the entire minute. You move on to capabilities the entire minute. Then you move on to behavior the entire minute. You just sit down, you time yourself. If you're able to do it for anything between 5 to 10 minutes, whatever the duration is, you distribute the time, you set the timer, and you actually set it. I would like you to make a commitment that this week you will do this every single day. One of the easiest times to do it is immediately after the daily reset. Write IBCE, IBCB, sorry. Identity, beliefs, capabilities, behavior. We've left the inner C, we've left the outer E. Just those 4 letters. Identity, beliefs, capabilities, behavior. And you make that the routine. We are crossing, at the end of this coming week, we are crossing into week 7. Week 7 going forward, it's going to be a lot more of work like this than any major lectures. I recorded a series of videos, and then I received very clear instructions that these were at the content as it is. It's in such a way that it loses some alignment with where we are as a group. And one of my heaviest responsibilities is to sense where we are. Do not lose track of the path that we have to follow, but continue finding a way, an aligned way for us to continue moving as much together as possible, where each one of us actually continues making progress not just learning the language, but actually doing the work. So your biggest assignment this week is the commitment that for the next 7 days, including when we do the return meeting next Saturday. Return is at 6, which means you can show up at 5:45 or even 5:30 and sit down and actually do work to precede the session so that you are ready. So every single day for the next 7 days, you make the commitment and you prove that inner reputation with yourself by showing up for the next 7 days and doing this. Reflect on identity, beliefs, capabilities, and behavior. When it comes to my beliefs, when it comes to my identity, the one question you're going to spread all across them is the question, I know. At the end of that minute or 2 minutes, whatever time you accord, the question, I know. When it comes to my I know. And you write what comes up. What you know might not be what you know, but what you know is what you know for now. And as the layers peel, something deeper is going to emerge. I remember when I really, for several days, I kept knowing something really inspiring, really, I feel like, yes, this is it. And then on day 7, I'm like, when it comes to my worth, I know that I don't trust myself. And I was like, it's like I went all the way back, but I went to my truth. That was my truth. And I felt like I'm going backwards, but if you haven't gone back to the roots, if you haven't gone down to the foundation, you can't build up. I remember it was around 4:30. It was still dark outside, and I cried for almost an hour. I just sat there crying. Just sat there crying. I cried for an hour, and after crying, I went shower, but the shower did nothing. There was a cleansing that happened when I was crying that no shower has ever done. And sometimes crying, let's say maybe it's, you've lost someone and you're crying where people are seeing you, that's a different story. When you're crying alone and you have a side lamp seated there and it's just you, people are asleep in wherever they are, and here you are like, and you're on. Yeah. The journey of return is what is the pathway for me to return to my truth, return to my voice, return to my power. And how do I return there at the level of identity, at the level of beliefs, at the level of capabilities? And then the easiest and most amenable level, which is the level of behavior. Within behavior, taking action is the easiest thing. The most important element at behavior level is the orientation. What is my orientation? When I'm speaking here to you today, what is my orientation? Am I trying to impress Debbie and Shiro and Abby and Isabel and Ruth? Or am I authentically here to express what I have so that if I stumble, that's okay? Because my orientation is not to impress you. It's just to express. If what I express is not valuable enough for you to plug in, and you move on and you turn your attention to another course, that's okay. Because it leaves me with the room to continue pursuing my truth, my voice, my power. Even when it feels inadequate. If it's inadequate, but it is my truth, I want it. I don't want it to be adequate and it's someone else's voice. For me to show up here and start sounding like Martin Luther. When the architects of our nation wrote the magnificent words of our behavior, and that's no. I want to show up here and tell you where I come from. They call me Chobu. That's my truth. My truth, my voice, my power. Seven days, timing yourself and making a concerted effort to just see what comes and see the seeds that we have already planted, what has started to germinate. And so that as you show up for the daily reset, you are showing up to be soaked in what's available, but what is available will be of no use unless it percolates to any of these four layers, to your identity, to your beliefs, your capabilities, and your behavior. And all of these things together are all building to one thing: your capacity to return to your truth, the capacity to return to your voice, the capacity to return to your power. I feel a very heavy duty and responsibility to all of you, and I pray for every one of you, and I pray for myself too, that this surgical assignment that I was given this season, I resisted it with my all, but we had to do it. Now we are on the surgery table already. The belly has been opened. If we stop here, something will get infected. So you have the blade in your hand. We have to cut something, but we can't cut unless we see it. So this is one of the weeks when we are going to open deeper and see what we find. This will be one of those videos that I would also want you to rewatch. So once it's available, I will share it and rewatch it. I have the intuition to not have any verbal reflections here, but instead you take your time, whether you will complete your reflection now or you complete it later. I need you to share a truly personal, authentic reflection. It doesn't have to be in perfect grammar, it just has to be yours, and you share it when it's ready, sometime in the course of today. Ideally, you settle down now and see what comes and share that. Don't wait until it's perfect. And if something else comes later, you can always add it. But most importantly, what you share, you must first voice it verbally. You must speak it out verbally and hear it before you paste it in the group. So that will be the end of the actual presentation part of this. Settle down and do that part for yourself. Gladys, Esther, Debbie, Elsie, Isabel, Shiro, Mercy, Abby, Ruth, Ipalei, Sally, Beatrice, Lydia, and Florence. You guys go ahead and just do your reflections. I'll link up with you later.